Yeah, another graph physics video production. Unfortunately, this video is going to sit in between the middle of a drama video and a physics video. And there's just, unfortunately, it's just, it bleeds into each other, and that's just unfortunate. So, I'll deal with a couple of comments. And so, the update on the conspiracy cat thing is, he says, however, narrow down the field, be specific, and I'll do it for free. So, that's the last thing he says to me. I say to him, okay, I'll narrow the field to the two-slit experiment. And nothing back from him. And then the trolls had to chime in. Cato the Wiser. It could be a good debate. DraftScience is a bit of a legend, blah, blah, blah. So I suppose that comment was not too bad. But Farley had to, chime in. And it just lies here with a paragraph of lies. I respond to his lies, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if that has anything to do with making cats less receptive to the question asked. I mean, it would have been better if my comment was the last comment, and therefore it could be seen that he never responded to me doing exactly what he ordered. So it's just this game we keep playing. I keep saying, yes, let's do this. I'll pay you. He keeps saying, no, I'll do it for free. But he won't do it for free. And he won't do it if I pay him. So, I mean, there's just no way to get this done. So I guess I'll have to do it all over again, right? I'll have to comment another. I don't even know why he doesn't just block me if he doesn't intend to pay any attention to what he agrees to and what he doesn't. I mean, it's just such bullshit. But anyway, all right, comments. Quite horrible, actually. Let's see. Let me use this new little trick. What's his face brought up? That's not going to do me any good. That's not going to do me any good. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for. Gary Blunder's video. Yeah, so this is the Stephen Bro loony. Is this guy for real? So, he's doing cartoon videos now. And that's all he can do is a response. So we'll get to that. Just to explain. He's poked no holes in any of the logic or facts or any statement I've made about the two-slit. He's just full of shit. And so we'll get to that. All right. So on this general subject of this time for a GoFundMe, yeah, look, it was time 10 years ago, 15, when YouTube started. This was a problem, and there should be some kind of sensible rules about what you can do. How much photoshopping you can do to somebody else's image on the internet, how much you can take clips of their videos and turn them into shit. Make people say silly things and all that crap. It's a very, I think it's just a deplorable tactic, right? If it's just the same with the political crap that goes on. All this cartoon art shit. You can go back 200 years and 300 years even, and what they did in newspapers, and it's disgusting, frankly, that you can't make a real argument against something. Instead, you have to draw a ridiculous picture, it's slander, in my opinion. Okay, and so obviously that's not the general opinion, but the very fact that some of this stuff, there has to be a line drawn somewhere about what's fair targets and what kind of extortion you can apply to somebody else. And that's all this is for. They're not trying to win a debate. Obviously, they're going way outside the debate, rational debate tactic. So if this was a debate, it's like somebody just showing up and saying, well, your mother was a slut, right? And then they respond, well, that's irrelevant. Well, your mother was a slut, right? And they just keep saying it over and over again. And there, they win the debate. It's just too stupid. But anyway, so this should be something, the YouTube community did a long time ago, was to force one of these lawsuits and get some case law defining what the rules are. But it's just like the Digital Millennium Act. I mean, that was taken over by Google. They're breaking it all the time. It was supposed to guarantee us having accountability and being responsible for the content we produced. But clearly the loophole was none of the big companies want to sue the individual trespassers, okay, because it's just too expensive for no value. the people stealing their content. They can't get enough out of them to justify the cost of prosecuting them. So they make a deal with YouTube to pre-censor us, which they're not supposed to do. It's in the law saying you're not supposed to pre-censor. That's the whole point of the law, is to prevent pre-censorship. And yet that's what you're presumed guilty of, violating a copyright instead of the opposite, which is supposed to be the law. So it's completely perverted. And yes, YouTube is protecting trolls. We can't see their comments on other videos anymore. You can't even click on the icons in the chat anymore to see what their channel's doing. Clearly, YouTube's protecting them. They're somehow a necessary resource of some kind. But anyway, regardless. So they're not doing anything to clean it up. And, it's just... And like I said, the people who use YouTube should want to clean it up. They should want a better platform, one that allows people to, gives them all reason to think they can talk honestly and openly and without threat of being extorted to shut up. And that's all the trolls are intending to do. And like I said, it does work. I mean, I've provided the personal examples, okay? I mean, like I said, I might still be living in my little cottage if I had been able to maintain a good relationship with the town of Mendham, as a nice guy rather than some guy on the internet who everybody hates. So if these assholes weren't able to harass the mayor of the town, maybe my whole destiny would have been quite different. So they can fuck with your life in a very real way. And when they start making accusations that you photographed somebody at a high school or did some other kind of, suspicious act, completely untrue. What do you mean? It doesn't hurt your credibility as a human being when cops have to show up at your door? So again, I pointed out how none of this would have been important if it wasn't for the fact that I did have to move and somebody else lives at the address I live at. And they're just saying they don't care, about any collateral damage. They don't care. So, somebody should care. Somebody should care about this tactic. I'll attack your family, I'll attack your friends, I'll attack your neighbors, I'll attack the people you had any kind of relationship with. And, this shouldn't be the rules of debate. It's idiotic, and everybody should be saying that's idiotic. But instead, they just kind of wishy-washy. And look, I don't mind people saying, "Oh, GoFundMe and all this stuff." Yeah, but what's the realistic? Even if you could raise the $10,000, do you really want to waste $10,000 on these assholes? From this perspective, until there is a real number of people, like you have some sort of petition, and you can get like 500,000 YouTube creators to sign it. There's no point, really. To some extent, there's no point, except you'll be punishing these stupid individuals. But I'm just saying that would send a message, though. Just having one of these cases get through the process and be decided would at least put a little bit of fear into these assholes. And like I said, I have some advantages because I am a member of a protected class, which sort of means that if I get the right judge, he'll understand that the ADA intends to protect me from these accusations that I have to defend myself on the internet against liars about my personal life or my medical condition, that stuff is protected, and then I can get punitive damages, which is really important in terms of sending a real signal to people that you don't do this shit. But whatever. We'll see how it plays out. I'm just saying, for the time being, I'm not asking anybody to raise money yet. There's no real, what's the sooner I act, I suppose I can shut them all up. But what I want them to do is understand they are breaking the law, and they should understand that that's not a nice thing to do. So I would think, like I said, that just pointing out the fact that I have done it before, if you want me to do it, if you're going to force me to do it, I'll do it again, and you're not going to like it. Okay, the truth is that if you're on the list, you're not going to like what the list means, because the list means you're going to be sued, and you're going to have to answer questions. and you're going to have to fill out paperwork, and you're going to be vulnerable to paying maybe a significant fine, a penalty. I mean, you know, you're sitting here walking this, you know, you're walking a fence. You know you're playing a game with the rational lines of fair commentary. So, you know, whose fault is it if you get burned? But I'm just saying that, you know, but that sort of points out just what's so dangerous about this whole thing is that these people aren't rational. They're crazy fucks. And that's what makes them such a threat. Because you just don't know what these crazy fucks, they think they know what's good for you. And they might think, oh, it's good for you if you get killed. But then you'll be a hero, and so I'll kill you for you. I'll do you a favor and kill you. I mean, they have all kinds of irrational thoughts. The people that, you know, are part of this whole drama club. So anyway, so I'm going to delete this just because now I'm not really interested in collecting money at this time. If I decide to get a lawyer, you know, first I'm going to see if, you know, if I can find one that's reasonably priced. Because like I say, it will take time. It's going to take years maybe. I mean, it took me years. I was in court for at least 3 years with Joneser case. Because I had to go to the appeals court, and that takes another year to get a decision out of the appeals court. And then the judge did exactly the same thing the first judge did, which was complete bullshit. So you know, what happened to the case, it never got decided because I had to decide whether I was going to spend another $600 for another appeal. I mean, it costs real money to do this legal thing. You know, and I decided one day too late. So the real bad news is I paid the fucking money, and they claimed my paperwork was a day late. A day late. So they stole my money. And yeah, so it ended sort of tragically in that sense. You know, it's just the horseshit system, and you really do have to fight it all the way through. You have to sit there and defend your constitutional rights constantly from the evil judges. And yeah, there's just nothing fun about it. And so, but yes, I guess I'm sort of arguing that, you know, it's sort of a commitment, and I'm not ready to commit. But I am saying that if I am successful and I do acquire some extra money, I'm just letting the trolls know that, yes, I'm going to find it most enjoyable to have somebody else do the suing for me. And so when I can afford to do that, I'm going to enjoy doing it. Because you deserve it, frankly, obviously. In hindsight, this will be really obvious, and it's all part of my heroic effort. It's only going to make me look even more, you know, brilliant and fantastic that I had to endure all of these slings and arrows from complete lunatic assholes, and I still endeavored to persevere. So it's just going to make the, you know, the story even bigger and better. So I won't hide it, just remove it. So yeah, at this time, unless you can organize a bunch of people first, and frankly, I don't like GoFundMe pages, right? It's for retards. People who can't figure out how to donate, people can't figure out how to sign a petition, so we're going to pay some jackass company to do that for you for a fee. Why pay them too? I mean, more exploiting is being paid. It's more crap I don't defend. I rather it didn't exist in our society. Right, so this Dino Ridgway guy who, you know, go ahead, fine. It's okay for you to have an opinion, but don't you see you're doing exactly what the trolls are doing? You're making a public statement. I'm supposed to not respond, right? I'm supposed to just let you make your little statement, and I'm not supposed to respond at all, and I'm not supposed to counter the argument, and I'm not supposed to defend my position. I'm supposed to just let you say what you want to say, and I say fucking nothing. That's your plan. And it's an idiotic plan. So here you are trolling me and wasting my fucking time having to explain to you again why you're full of shit. Okay. I don't know what would really ruin Mickey Farley's whole world. Simply ignoring him and all the other trolls who keep successfully and often quite spectacularly pushing you off your path. So there's no evidence of this. I mean, 2 videos, and now this is a 3rd video, let's say, okay, out of 1,000, you know, more than 1,000 videos, 3 videos. hardly a gigantic distraction. Okay, I mean, and frankly, all of my Inmendum videos, it's a tiny portion of them that have to deal with these issues. And in my opinion, they're really important issues. You don't think it's important that people are threatened off the internet, that they don't have any First Amendment rights because these people make speech too expensive to you personally. They'll threaten your children. They threaten all kinds of things. I mean, you don't see the real threat that exists. And that to me is you're so stupid and blind and dumb because you don't know how much damage these people really can do to people's lives. And that's really ignorant of you. Lies are very dangerous. Anyway, pushing you off your path. Every time you stop working on your ideas to deal with these assholes instead. Well, again, how have I dealt with them so far? I've saved a couple of videos and a few comments, for future reference or purpose. And I made a video, an hour-long video or whatever, an hour and 20-minute video. So, wait, that's too much of a distraction. I'll tell you, I do lots of things in my daily life where maybe I'm squandering my milliseconds. I do waste some milliseconds here and there. I'm sorry about that. Okay, they win, period. They win when people like you, all of the bad that happens in the world happens because assholes like you say, don't fix it. Don't fight it. Eat it. Get fucked. That's the way we want it. We want a get fucked, rape for free world. No, I don't want that world. I don't think that's anything close to acceptable. So, and you ought to already know that about my personality, that I fight things. I don't sit there and say it's okay. There's no right to die. Just too bad. No, I fight for these things. So fuck you for that, for not even understanding that's who I am. That's who I've always been, and it's kind of obvious that I fight. Anyway, they're trapping you in an endless and painful, pointless game of made you look. So it's more horse shit. I mean, I've made it clear what the difference is, okay? I mean... but anyway, there's no point in making it clear. I mean, my life has changed, and that's just a fact. And these assholes are now going to abuse liberties they had in the past to, extort me. And I have to make some indication that your extortion isn't going to work. And I do have weapons to fight back if you were going to force me to fight back. But they're nuclear weapons, kind of thing. I don't have any conventional weapons. I'm not going to Photoshop you. I'm not going to make videos mocking you. And of course, I can't invade your privacy because at the moment I don't have your name and address. Well, even if I did, I wouldn't use it. But the point is, I'm not going to use your weapons. And the only one I have is the big one. Okay, and so if you force me to drop it, you force me to drop it. I'm just letting them know. Now, what's wrong with letting them know that keep pushing? And yes, the war's going to go a little nuke. You're gonna find it really unpleasant because you're going to get a lot of mail, with lawyers' names on it and legal, statements on it from the, government and such. You're going to be a public figure. You might even get a Fox News story. You might even be in a Fox News story. So that's going to be the war you asked for. Okay, you seem like an incredibly smart guy. But it also seems like you're getting outplayed by common trolls using kindergarten-level tactics to get under your skin. So you're saying none of that kind of crap works. Photoshopping Trump doesn't work, is your argument. The 30-second political commercial doesn't work. Yeah, no, the fact is that shit does work. These crappy, lazy, sloppy tactics do work. And... they're going to keep working until people fight back and say you have to have some integrity in the accusations you make. Sloppy, thoughtless, rude, obnoxious, derogatory statements should come with some sort of accountability. You shouldn't be allowed to make them for free. What's wrong with that principle? And what's wrong with fighting for it? Oh, yeah, I don't think anything's wrong with it. Anyway, please stop doing that and get back to work on separating the facts from the woo and modern mainstream physics. Well, I've done plenty of that, and it's already on the record, most of it, and frankly, no one gives a fuck anyway. So, you know, yes, there's some more details I can go into on magnetism and, you know, the fundamental principles and get the simulation finished. But frankly, we're almost done. Okay, you know, and clearly the response from the two slit analysis has been just useless and silly. So there's been no argument made. I mean, I don't have, there's nowhere to go with this, okay, if I can't get to the physicist to sit there and answer the questions. So this doesn't go anywhere. All right, except in the future where, yes, this will be figured out that, yes, you know, Gary was making these videos and all these assholes couldn't figure out he was right. Anyway, because you're really good at it. Well, regardless. Anyway, thanks again for helping to spread a light. Let's gotta do a little pause. Alright, should be back. Alright, so let's just finish this up. Anyway, thanks again for helping shine a light on just what a mess mainstream physics has become. At the very least, I now get a lot more of the roast jokes that I hear celebrity physics use with each other in other videos. Poor string theorists don't seem to get much respect these days. Yeah, well, see, part of the roast jokes, though, are really a joke, right? I mean, at least Sean Carroll, he made one video like 6 years ago or something, where he pointed out how it's embarrassing to physics that you have these bizarrely different interpretations of the simple experiment, the two slit. You know, you have the Copenhagen thing where it's a little wavicle, and then you have the many worlds, loop-de-doo, nutty, you made a new universe every time a photon hits something, a new universe is created. You know, and then the Feynman, everything's just random for the sake of being random bullshit. And they're nowhere even close to being something like each other. I mean, they're not even like Judaism versus Mohammedism versus Jesusism. You know, they're not even connected by any kind of Old Testament. They're completely off the chart, different, you know, wacky crap. And it's a joke. I mean, you're supposed to take these people seriously when they can't get the right answer. Even they can't have even commonly connected answers to questions. And the whole idea of quantum mechanics versus bent space is just so ridiculous. That the universe is made of two elemental functions. Two completely different elemental universes run the universe. Oh, I don't think so. I mean, it's almost so stupid that you're just like, why do I even have to bring up the fact that, wow, that seems pretty incredible. All right, so anyway, somebody's comments like, oh yeah, just let him get away with it, no problem. And so Dino responds, no one, especially the courts, gives two fucks about two unknown YouTubers having an insult battle. And that's really not what it is, right? There's no insult battle. I'm not attacking their privacy. I'm not doing any of that crap. I'm calling them assholes, which is perfectly reasonable. You can make all the videos you want calling me an asshole. I don't mind. So it's a huge difference here. So that's not what's happening here. Lying about each other's personal lives. So again, I'm not guilty of any of those crimes. So fuck you for implying so, that this is some sort of agree to disagree bullshit. There's nothing like that happening here. I'm not guilty of these tactics. I don't use Photoshop. I don't do this bullshit. Okay, the only time I've ever used Photoshop was to people who Photoshopped me. That's it. So just to show them, I put a dickhead on a judge who, the one who got kicked off the case, and I did it to that asshole cigar smoking douchebag. And that's it. That's the extent of my Photoshop career. So again, you just don't see any underlying principle here. You're conceding that the courts don't give a fuck, and you don't think that's a problem, that we're living in a civilization where we don't matter if we're not celebrities, where we don't have constitutional rights, where people can freely extort us out of our free speech rights, and that's all okay. Fine. That's all you're saying. You're saying I should just buck up and accept being threatened. Okay, big deal. And I should accept my family being played with, and I should accept the person living in this house being made vulnerable. That's all okay. That's just life in America. I don't think it should be. So fuck you for this bullshit. If they ever had a deal with childish bullshit like this, they literally wouldn't have time for anything else. So again, he thinks it's childish. You know, doxing people, you know, directing people to information that makes them vulnerable. You think it's all a big joke. So having people harass the mayor of the town's a big joke. Having the cops at my house 3 different times for false reports called in to the cops is a big joke. Them attempting to, you know, imply that there's some impropriety in my living circumstances, you know, my finances or something, that's all okay. You're an idiot. You wouldn't accept it. Oh, it's just such bullshit. Okay, well, anyway. 1 hour's worth of Twitter feuds would back up the courts forever. Well, the point is they should never happen. The point is, if you punish a few of these people, see, punishment works. It's just a fact. And if you punish a few of these people, then people will be a lot more careful about what they're doing. You don't think it helps to have laws that punish alcoholics for, you know, our people drunk driving? You don't think it deters anybody? Nobody decides, I better not get in the goddamn car. You don't think it works? No, I think it does work, asshole. So, fuck you. So good luck with your courtroom fantasies and impotent rage. Impotent rage. So I don't see the rage part, except when I start thinking about, you know, the fact that these assholes don't care about the other people they will damage in what they're doing. In the real world, they don't count for jack shit. Well, I think they do. I think you're a fuckhead. So, I won't block you. I'll just delete this shit. Maybe you can make up for it someday. But, yeah, fuck you. I mean, obviously, your expectation was I wouldn't respond publicly to your public statement, you fuckhead. Well, yeah, I had to. You fucking troll. So you're guilty of the very thing you're worrying about. A stupid distraction caused by your stupid fucking comment. You fucking dumb Trumpy. There, I'll call you something. Fucking asshole. What is all this horse shit? Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, this isn't horse shit. So this is all very sad stories, you know, about the other people he's decided to make part of the collateral damage, right? Because somebody agrees with me, then he has to go attack them personally. And yeah, I appreciate the support and the whatnot. And yes, anybody who wants to save stuff and compile stuff, we just have to figure out some place to send it. So, you know, but the truth is, if I do this thing, I'm going all the way. I'm going for all of it. Okay, all of Farley's activities will be vulnerable to scrutiny. I would intend to subpoena his emails, I mean, all kinds of stuff. So he better start deleting shit off his computer. Because, yes, I think he's maliciously attempting to do exactly what I've stated, which is violate my constitutional rights. And that's an important thing. And I think it's proven in probably his correspondence with other people, who else he's contacted, what kind of things. I think he probably could be. It's quite reasonable. It's quite plausible. I think I can make a plausible argument to the courts that he has called the police and made false reports. It's plausible. And so, yeah, so if I go with this, it's going to be everything. So, yes, it's good for you to save stuff. But the point is yes, of course, I'll get everything from YouTube. Okay, everything. Anyway, so on to the other, you know, the assholes who are emboldened by this kind of bullshit, right? And so little turds like this, you know, Steven Shitstain, just start chiming along, playing the game. So here he's picking on the old fan video and sculpture, which doesn't make any sense. Why the fuck he's messing with that? And so,
she's forgetting this wrong. I sent you the slits that do this exact thing.
Yeah, so he keeps talking about what he sent me. Okay, yeah, unremarkable. I've already seen what the pattern looks like through one of these. There's a million videos on YouTube, retard, of the pattern going through these manufactured slits. That wasn't any issue. I didn't have any problem knowing what the pattern looked like. Shit for brain. So It's understanding what's causing it, dumbass, not how it's caused.
I sent you those 2 years ago, and you still have it fucking wrong. You do not.
There's nothing wrong with that image I just showed. So again, just more horseshit. So I don't know how he's going to demonstrate I'm wrong by showing exactly the point I was making, that at the right dimensions these things line up perfectly, because that's exactly the math.
Know what you were talking about. These two patterns are.
So what's all this music shit? See, this is the kind of thing, like, you know, they all think this is what you do to make an argument, is this crap. That somehow this is a rational argument to convince reasonable people. So he thinks my audience is full of these kind of people, the way it is now, that this is the kind of content they enjoy. Is, you know, music in the background, logos moving around, and photoshops. Oh yeah, that's just brilliant.
By having a single slit, okay, for the top one. And the bottom one has the impediment in the same location as the slit, and it's the same width as the slit.
No, wrong.
It's not wrong, it's exactly right, so there's nothing to argue about. The impediment is the same size as, in this example, the impediment's the same size as the opening in the single slit. Fact.
You have no excuses for getting this wrong.
So let's have a look at the result. You can see what it measures. It measures just over 40 millimeters.
So we have no description of anything here. No, so let's just go through this. See, it's impossible that I'm wrong, just because the math that works is, it's actually from the surfaces, okay? I mean, it's in the profile of Fartenheimer, whatever, diffraction math. It's in the drawings. You can't miss it, okay? So the 4 point sources. But anyway, just logically you can understand it. Just from what they always did traditionally and how they explain the pattern. You can, first thing is so easy to understand is why you look at the pattern on an arc. Because it's a number of angles. And so this is basically giving you an illustration of the string argument, right? You're really just tying a string from two locations, all right? And then you move the string, and there's places where the string, like I said, you put notches on the string commensurate to the number of wavelengths in this distance, okay? So those would be the notches you put on the string. And the string, the notches hit here, and then the notches hit here, and the notch hits here, and notch hits here, and notch hits here, and you're out of angles. Okay, you're all done. There's only so many places where you can create the alignment. So again, this projecting on a flat screen is the part that just completely breaks any continuity in understanding the actual mechanism. So that's where it all goes wrong. It's just this, like I said, once you do this, you understand there's a limited number of places that you can have a full wavelength path difference. You know, where the path difference is one full wavelength. You know, if you did this distance, full wavelengths fit in this distance. The difference between this line and this line, it's a full wavelength here. It's a full wavelength here. That geometry is irrefutable, okay, and that's what's creating the pattern. Now, what's what I've pointed out, you know, so again, he takes little quote miney clips of me explaining it where maybe I wasn't quite as articulate, I didn't say it quite as well as I could have. So again, more quote mining, more game playing to try to avoid the real argument. And you know, so what I clearly pointed out yesterday's video was that yeah, we already know that the central maxima is 2 nodes. So really this is really an argument about what happens on a 90 degrees of the scale. So the number of notches will tell you how many blobs there'll be in this 90 degrees. Okay, so you figure out the distance and you say, okay, this has 6 wavelengths in it. It's very small, has 6 wavelengths of light is in this distance. So it's a, you know, micrometer or whatever, a little more, 6 micrometers. So 6, what do they use for it? NU? micrometers, I don't remember. Well, anyway, so it's a 6 micrometer impediment. Okay, and it just basically is telling you there'll be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, you know, put them more proportionally on there, but that's what you'll get. And obviously the center one is going to be a double. Okay, obviously. Okay, because it goes both ways. So if you're doing the whole pattern, you have to multiply it by 2. If you're just doing the 190 degrees, then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's it. That's the pattern. So change how wide this is, and you'll get more blocks. Change how long this distance is, and the secondary blocks, which are much smaller. Okay, that'll tell you how many of those you get. And that's all there is. So the math is just going to be, you know, this simple changing these straight lines of distance. So all you do is you take this distance, okay, so distance of the opening, the point sources, the distance of the point sources, divide it by lambda, okay, and then take that number, you know, which will be the number of wavelengths inside the distance, and multiply it, okay, times pi r, and that tells you the how many there would be over 180 degrees. So what you really have to do is change one of these numbers. No, pi r should be okay because you do 2 pi. Circumference is 2 pi, yeah. So just do pi, and that'll give you 180 degrees. But you want pi divided by 2. There, okay, times r. There. And that'll tell you how many blocks fit in this circumference. Yeah, because r is going to be this distance. So as long as you have this distance, the distance from where you draw this arc. So that r times 1/2 of pi. I guess I could do that just 1/2 pi, because it's just one quarter of the pi. See, 1/2 pi is actually 1/4 of the pi. You know, it's a little trick. You got to know these little tricks. So 1/2 pi. All we're doing is this circumference. So I think this is correct. 1/2 pi r would be 1/4 of a circumference of a circle, because that's what you really want to be dividing it into. So you just divide lambda into the distance difference between the two surfaces, then times 1/2 pi r pi, no squared, and that tells you how many units there are in that distance. And so then you just divide this number, the number of units, okay, into the product of this number. Okay, so I just divide by the result of this. So yeah, I can't, unless I call this something, I don't have anything to, so the result of this goes in here. All right, you just divide that into here, and that'll tell you how big each little block is. And so that's it. And then you know there's 2 of them here in the center. So he's done nothing to even touch this. There's not a single detail or fact or anything in this whatever. So this is how, again, you know, I had no intention of saying anything about Stephen Bro. We ended our relationship a year ago. That was it. I was done with him, and I had nothing negative to say. And he just wants to sit there and make trouble. Then okay, then I will make my private videos public, because he keeps lying that I forced him to do something. I did this. I did that. No, I kept saying in my videos, don't spend your money. Don't wait. Don't hurt yourself. I said those exact words. Don't hurt yourself. Okay. I said we probably should try to go, you know, to a guy who already has this equipment. I said these things to him. I even warned him about being exposed to microwaves. He's just such a liar. So, you know, this is just horrible. You know, that people are this crazy.
Piece of paper makes it a little bit easier to see in the dark. So that's a double slit pattern. Now we're going to use a 0.6 single slit, nowhere near.
So he doesn't tell us what the R distance is. He's not telling us the distance from the target, which means nothing. He's not giving us any information. Obviously, how far away the target is changes the size of that blob, you lunatic. But what you can see here, let's say he did actually pay attention to the actual numbers. I mean, obviously he's saying a node size. See, the nodes are the size that the math will tell you what these little nodes are. And as I pointed out, in the envelope pattern, it's a single slit pattern. The envelope is a single slit pattern, so it has the double thing in the middle. And the double is just saying there's a right, there's both vectors going in the right direction, and there's two vectors going in the left direction. So there are two different patterns being created, going left and going right, and so that's why there's a double one in the middle. So obviously you could see here in this image that if he did this correctly and just measured the size of one of these nodes on the side, that this would be correct. So it's ironic that he's proving me right while he's attempting to prove me wrong.
Guy said it would be. Nowhere near what Guy said it would be.
So he provided no information, right? I mean, I don't have the distance, the R, no R distance. All he did is give me the size of the slit and then tell me it's nowhere near. So this is the quality of his experimental data. No wonder we couldn't get along. Because this is crap.
Nowhere near what Guy said it would be.
So he's going to keep saying the same thing over and over again. So he thinks that's a tactic that reasonable people love that shit. Oh, they love watching a video where somebody says the same exact thing over and over again for the fun of it.
Gary, you're wrong. How can that possibly be? How did that happen? What a shock. What a shock. Gary, wrong.
So he's going to say the same shit all over again, wearing a clown mask. Go figure.
He's wrong almost all the fucking time.
Yeah, well, you haven't demonstrated with a single reasonable or factual argument. So I guess it's just a pile of crap, you're saying.
You don't realize that. That's because you were sick as well.
So there you go. It's at least double, isn't it? It's more than double, really.
Yeah, exactly as predicted. It's double. That's right. We all know the single slit pattern creates a double maxima in the center. And as I pointed out, it's double for good reason, because there's vectors pointing in both directions. Durr.
Just so you can see yourself, it's just over 10.
These two patterns are made by having a single slit, okay, for the top one. And the bottom...
So, the pattern can be, it's in phase going this way, and then in phase going this way, okay, off this center. So that's the bias. It stays in phase, okay, from this line to this line, it's in phase. From this line to this line, it's still in phase here, in both of those directions.
One has the impediment in the same location as the slit, and it's the same width as the slit. No.
Alright, so he keeps saying no to this argument, that if I have a single slit, okay, and I do the pattern, it'll be that first blob, okay, and if I use exactly the same size for the impediment in the double slit, the blocking thing in the double slit, if I use the same size block, that this will line up exactly with this pattern. He's not refuting that with any rational argument.
Wrong. You have no excuses for getting this wrong.
Oh, he does have an excuse. He's sick. That's what his excuse is. And this distance deciding this size. Alright? Game over. Alright? It's understood now. You can't fool me or people watching this video anymore with this dodge. You fool them all the time.
Okay, so there's no counter argument here, right? So this is just a waste of time. There's no details, no nothing. Let's just finish it up. We'll just speed it up. I mean, so just think to yourself, this is what they think works. They think this is the way you make an argument. So I'm just saying, so you don't think there's something wrong with a world where people think this is a good argument? I mean, he actually thinks he's making a good counter argument with this buffoonery.
We now know what surface is causing more effect. We know that with a single slit at this distance, I'll get this size block. And yet we don't. Isn't that weird? Gary's wrong.
Alright, so he just keeps saying it. It is, and what was the proof? Where did he demonstrate it? Oh, that's right, he didn't at all.
So the game is over.
No, wrong. You have no excuses for getting this wrong.
Oh, it does.
It says the same damn thing again.
He does have an excuse. He's sick. That's what his excuse is.
I can't tell what he's saying. He's thick, he's sick, he's... what the fuck did he say? Be nice if the English spoke English.
You agree on the size argument. The bottom pattern was created by a central impediment that was exactly the same size as the opening of the top pattern. You agree with that, correct? You're not disputing that, are you?
No, I don't agree, Gary, because you were wrong, because I've tested it with the same slits as I sent you. A 0.6 single slit, which is why that one's empty, because that split it in half with you, and a 0.6 impediment double slit. What are your excuses for not doing that test before you...
So he already pointed out how he's not too sure of the numbers on these printed things as being accurate. And frankly, I've already played videos where, you know, Professor Lewin can't get it right, lots of people can't get it right. So, you know, where did he prove that these slits that he says was that size is that size? Oh, that's right, he didn't do that.
...announce to the world. What are your excuses, apart from being sick?
Okay, what is your excuse? Apart from being retarded, where else can the pattern come from? There's only a certain number of angles that can produce a wavelength difference. That's it. There's only a certain number of them possible. Do you understand that argument? That the wavelength difference per, if you use the sine theta kind of idea, there's only a certain number of sine thetas that can produce a whole wavelength of difference in the path. Do you understand? It's about a path length, right? And there's only a certain number of them. So how is it possible for the impediment or the single slit opening to be the same size, and yet, because those 2 point sources would be exactly the same distance from each other? See, the single slit math, they get it right because there's no way to get it wrong, because the distance of the opening is in the math, and that's obviously the 2 point sources are the surfaces. So they can't fuck it up. It's in the double slit where they fuck it up and it doesn't work. And that's why they use the math that has 4 point sources. And that's the math that actually gets the right answer. So again, you're not counter-arguing these explicit facts that make it impossible for you to make this argument that somehow there's any other choices. The fact is this distance that between these two spots is what creates the pattern, creates the path length difference. There's no other way to get more path length difference. It has to be the same. There's no way for the envelope pattern to be different, because the thing completely definable as the thing creating it isn't a different size. If it's the same size, it has to have the same number of path length differences. It can't have any new path length differences. It can't have any more. It's impossible. Because it's in their own math. Like I said, their own math changes this. The opening is the A variable, the distance, you know, the width of the slit variable. They just change it to be the width of the impediment when they do the double slit. So it's obviously the same exact distance. And it creates exactly the same exact pattern, because that's all you can create out of those 2 points, you idiot. I mean, it's just so, you know, there's no point. Obviously, he can't do physics. All right, let's see. Is there anything else in this cartoon video? All right, now he goes back to whatever. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I care not about the fact that I lived my way. Yeah, I could sing the My Way song. I lived my way. And I really don't care. If somebody doesn't like my clothes, they don't like my hair, or they don't like my background, I don't care. So, and the irony is this guy lives in a sty, and he's, you know, pointing fingers. It's just too fucking stupid. So anyway, yeah, so enough. And such. I don't think there's anything else content-wise. The content producers just really don't make any videos that are all interesting. I mean, I thought this one, you know, Sean Carroll doing Gravity might have something to argue with, but it's so silly and so It doesn't say anything. He doesn't even talk about bent space and trying to make the model in 3 dimensions and what it means really in 3 dimensions. He just jumps to tensor math, and it's just no point. So anyway, the Hillster. Oh God. His expanding Earth theory, based on just about no reasonable evidence at all. All right, so that'll be so fucking fascinating. All right, so there's just nothing. So till the next time and such, we'll try to get back to something other than. Yeah, I'm still sitting here just saying this has to be finished. I mean, if physics won't admit that I've just completely debunked their 2-slit mythology, that this whole experiment has been used so many times as evidence, oh, it has to be a wave, it has to be a wave, it has to be a wave. No, it doesn't have to be a wave, and waves don't even work. I mean, that's the joke, right? I mean, in the double slit, if I put the waves here, if I put the point sources here, right, in the center of this, if I say this is the point source, that math doesn't work. That vectors will not produce, first it won't produce this double slit pattern, that is, it won't produce the 2 patterns. It can't produce 2 patterns. It produces one stupid looking pattern, and that's it. And the one pattern it creates isn't even either of the other 2 patterns. It's not accurate to either. Because you really do have to acknowledge the real distance to get the real size of the bars. This distance gives you the right little bar size. This distance won't. It'll give you the wrong answer. Very wrong answer. That's just huge, and it really should just end this conversation about this silly wave crap. So anyway, till the next time. And such.